For this particular design, we are working on a turban cap made with raw silk fabric and sequins fabric. Now 1 yard of raw silk fabric is more than enough for the base, and then 1 yard of 1 yard of sequence fabric. 1 yard of sequence fabric is also more than enough for the design. Now the turban cap has the base, which has a round pleated band, and I'm going to be lining the base, so it requires 2 pieces of fabric for the base. So a round pleated band with the base. You can try to add a handle to yours, it's optional. Then we have a padded design on one side, which is from the left side to the middle, or a bit after the middle. For the padded design, we need the raw silk, the sequence, and then your padding material, which could be your foam, your fiber, or your wadding. Thereafter, we have this satellite design made with the sequence fabric on the other side, and to get that particular shape we'll be needing heart wire. So this is what makes up this design. And before now, I've gone ahead to cut out my fabric, so I'll get each piece of the fabric and then go ahead to state their measurements. Starting with the band, it's a round pleated band, so I'm going to be working with 24 inches for the length, which is the head circumference. For the band, I'm making use of 24 inches for the head circumference by 13 inches for the width. This is what we'll be using to create that pleated round band, 24 by 13 inches. Then coming over to the base, since I'm going to be lining, I will need 2 different pieces of fabric. I'm working with 24 by 13 inches cut out twice. So if you don't want to line in your base, you can skip this, but this is 24 by 13 cut out twice. Now, moving on to the padded design. That is the padded design. We'll be needing both the sequins and the raw silk fabric. I have both pieces of fabric here. The measurement for the width is 6.5 inches, while the length, I cut out 20 inches. Though I know very well that it's going to be more than. So after getting my exact measurement, I'll cut off the excess fabric. But what I cut out here is 6.5 by 20 inches for the raw silk and also for the sequence fabric. Now remember that we're going to be padding this. I'll always say that you should first of all sew your fabric and then turn it inside out, then take the measurements of what you get, so that it can now serve as a guide for the measurement you'll be using to cut out your padding material. As soon as that is done, we need the sequence fabric that I'll be using to get the satellite design that is on the other side of it. So you can get 1 yard and divide it into two. For instance, a yard is 60 by 36. So you can divide it into two and have 36 by 30 to 2 pieces, 36 by 30, and then you work with 1 pieces. So that is what I'm having here. So from the other pieces, you can now cut out the sequence material that you want to use for the padding material. Yes, for the padded design. So that is it. And then we also have heart wire. And for my heart wire, I cut out 52 inches for the length of the heart wire. You can also decide to decrease this depending on how big or small you want that satellite design on the other side of the cap to be. So this is what makes up this design. Now let's go into the tutorial. Starting with the fabrics for the padded design, we'll get each piece of fabric, fold it into 2 equal halves as seen here, then sew it down from one end of the fabric to the other end. After sewing, we'll turn this inside out. Then I'll get the fabric for the round band, the pleated round band. I'll start by folding in this edge. I'll fold it in twice and I'll stitch it down from one end to the other. Thereafter, I'll flip over to the fine side and then I'll start placing my fabric and sewing it down, placing my fabric and sewing it down until I get to the end. And as soon as I'm done with this, I'll get back for us to continue. At this point, I'm done stitching down my band, and this is what I get. So this is the fine side and this is the wrong side. So I'll set this aside. I'll get the first fabric for my base and I'll place it on my working surface with the fine side facing me. Then I'll get the fabric for my band, place it fine side facing fine side, and then get the lining fabric and place it fine side facing fine side. So I will now place this on my sewing machine and stitch down from one end down to the other end, and as soon as I'm done I will get back for us to continue. So at this point I'm done stitching down. As you can see, this is the wrong side, and then this is the knot part. Let me turn it over to the other side. This is the fine side, while this is the wrong side. So this is my turban base, and I'll set it aside first. Now, getting the fabric for the padded design, I've sewn and I've turned it inside out, both the sequins and the raw silk fabric. I'll go ahead to take my measurement. This is not up to 3 inches, but it is more than 2.5 inches. So you can cut out 2.5 inches, you can cut out 5 inches, you can cut out 7.5 inches, you can cut out 9 inches, depending on how thick or how high you want your padded design to be. I'm going to be making use of foam, and I have about 20 inches for the length, while for the width I cut out 9 inches because I want it to be very thick and high. So this is about 9 inches, so that I can fold it into three places and pass it inside my fabric. So I'll fold it in 3 times, as you see me doing. That's why I cut out that length. Ordinarily, if it's supposed to be a light padding of 1 step, I would have cut out 2.5 inches. So I'm going to pass this inside my fabric. Okay, I'm starting with the raw silk fabric first, and as soon as I'm done passing it inside my raw silk fabric, I'll get my sequence fabric and also pass it inside. This is it. I'm done passing my foam inside, and the foam did not get to the end. Here's the raw silk fabric. So I'll get my sequence fabric and also pass this inside. So as soon as that is done, I have it this way. So this is how it's looking like. Let me set this aside and then get the fabric for my base. This is it. I'll get the padded design. Coming down to this edge, I'll place it on one side like this. I'll get my pin to help me hold it in place. Just this side only, just one side, which is the left side. So as soon as I'm done pinning this down, I'll go ahead to fold my fabric into 2 equal halves. I want to flip this now so that I have it this way. Then I'll take it down to my sewing machine. I'll stitch it down like this to this end and then extend it to this end. So from the band, I will sew it down till I get to this end and then to this very end. Right here I have my fabric already sewn. This is it. I've sewn down to this edge and to this end. So this sequence fabric is joined to the cap. Now remember, we're working with 24 inches initially, and 24 inches is a little bit bigger than the normal adult head size. And then this is a stretchy fabric, and raw silk is super stretchy. What I did was to fold my fabric into 2 and then get the measurement of the actual head size that I'm working with. I decided to work with 21 inches, which on fold is 10.5, and that is the second stitch that you are seeing here. So this is the stitch for the actual head size I'm working with. So now that that is done, what we'll be doing next is our running stitch, which comes immediately after the band down to this very end. So I'll just start by passing my needle and thread in and out until I get to this end. So right here I have my running stitch already done. I'll flip this over to the fine side and I have it this way. Then I'm going to get my dummy head. I'm going to be placing this on my dummy head so that we can get the design. After doing that, I have it this way. So set it in place properly and then try to get the midpoint of your cap. So I'm going to place this down like this, and then it's going to still go further after the midpoint. This is the midpoint, about 2 inches away from the midpoint. I'm going to end it. So it's going to end here, somewhere here, and then I'll get my scissors. Remember I told you that I said earlier in the video when I started that the 20 inches is a little too big, so I'll cut off this excess fabric and then get back to let us know what was left and also how many inches is enough. Should it, that is it, should you be managing your fabric. So right now what I will do first is that I will get my needle and thread, and I'm going to be tacking this padded design down to my cap. Okay, so I'll make use of my needle and thread to do that. It's not difficult. So I'm not passing my needle and thread from the top because I don't want it to leave a mark at that point. That's why I'm passing it from inside the padded fabric. So I'm going to go off camera to complete my stitching, and as soon as I'm done, I'll cut off the excess fabric and get back for us to continue. Right here I have my fabric. I'm done stitching the padded design down to the base, and as you can see I cut off the excess fabric and I folded it in the edge and tacked it down. So this is it for this side. So I'm having the pieces, that is the excess fabric which I cut out here, and this is about 6 inches. So when cutting out for your fabric, cut out around 15 inches to 16 inches for the length rather than cutting out 20 inches, so that you don't have a lot of waste fabrics. Now that that is done, the next one I'm going to be working on is on the satellite design that will be on it. For that we need our heart wire. Remember I said it is 52 inches for the length, and you can alter it to get something bigger or something smaller. We'll also be needing paper tape. Okay, and then what I will do next is I will get one end of the heart wire on the other end this way, so that overlapping each other, and then I will go with my masking tape to hold it in place. That is done. The next thing I'm supposed to be doing is that I'll just get my sequence fabric and then place my heart wire on the wrong side of the sequence fabric and then gather it up to form my design. But the sequence fabric is a bit light and see-through, plus the heart wire is very thin. So what I want to do first is to wrap this heart wire. This is optional. So I'll wrap it with a piece of fabric so that it can be hidden and it will come out a bit thick. So just cut out any piece of fabric, like a matching color of piece of fabric of any length. There's no specific length or measurement for this. We're just going to be using it to wrap the heart wire. And then you get your gum, apply gum at one end, and from there we'll start wrapping with our fabric. This is my hat wire, fully wrapped it with my fabric. Then I'll get my sequence fabric this way. Then place my hat wire in the middle of the fabric. Then I'll go ahead to gather all edges and pull it up. So I want to pull till I have a very curvy shape. Okay, so pull tightly till you have this curvy shape. Because we are going to be stitching it down like this. So pull tightly, very tightly. In the meantime, get your needle and thread close by for tacking, or you get a piece of fabric for tying. Okay, something that you will use to hold the fabric in place. So I have my piece of fabric here already. I'll just keep pulling until I get what I want. Then I'll go ahead to tie. So this is it. At this point, I'm done tying and I further tacked it down using my needle and thread. So I'll get my scissors to cut off this excess fabric that I have here. After cutting off the excess, this is how it's looking. This is the back view. This is it. I still have my thread in it. I'm just going to fold it into two this way, and then I will tack it down a couple of times. I'll just fold it because I'm trying to push this excess fabric here to the back. So I'll just fold it like this and tack it through a couple of times. So it will be something like this we'll be getting. Then I'll get my turban cap and I'm going to be tacking. See, this part is coming to the back, so I'm just going to tack it down like this to my turban cap. So this is how it is. And then since I still have my needle and thread, I'll just start passing it in and tacking it down together. So at the end of the day, I have my padded design here. This is my Saturday design. I've tacked it down to the padded design. This is the middle part, and then this is the back view. So you see, I folded in that excess fabric from the end towards the back. It's at the back, it's right here. What I did was that I tacked in a way that I used my sequence fabric to cover up that middle part at this edge so that it will not be visible. And this is all that there is to this particular design. So what is left is embellishment. You could add a brooch here, you could add any article of your choice, even stones. So I'll go ahead to embellish and then come back to show us the final outlook on my dummy head. But this is our turban design.